accounting for corporations' share splits. So in this problem, we are going to tackle the same theories. We have issuance of shares. We also have dividends. But what's unique in this problem is that we are going to encounter share splits. So let's begin. We are required to prepare journal entries and to prepare the she section as of December 31, 2018. Okay, so we have here Valdez Corporation, and here are the opening balances of Valdez Corporation's equity accounts. And 2018 has the following transactions. First, January 26, Valdez reacquired, and that is treasury shares, 5,000 shares for cash for 110 per share. So tagpila ba di ay ang per share ani? You have 6 million divided by 100. So I believe that's 60. Ay, eto na pala yung par. 100 ang par. So you have 60,000 shares. Am I right? 60,000 shares na issued and outstanding. So let's prepare our entry. We have here January 26. Treasury shares at cost, and that's 5,000 times 110. And credit cash. We bought the shares from our shareholders. On April 4, Valdez sold 3,000 shares for cash, 140 per share. So in exchange, we received cash, and then that's in 140 per share. So if you will look at it, 110 atong pagpalit, 140 atong pagkabaligya. So I guess this is going to result in a gain 3,000. 3,000 times at cost, which is 110. So you have here 420. We received 420. We sold 330, and the excess will go to share premium, particularly treasury shares. Okay. Next, we have June 1, Valdez declared cash dividend of 20 pesos per share, payable July 5 on shareholders of record on July 1. Okay, so again, we are going to prepare entry for this date of declaration, which is retained earnings debit, bawasan, in exchange of our cash dividends payable. Right? And that is in the amount of pila ba ka-shares, shareholders ang mudawat. We are going to consider only the number of shares outstanding, right? So basically, we have to daw ning isure be. Dire na to isolve 6 million divided by 100 par. So currently we have at the beginning of the year we have 60,000 shares issued and outstanding kasi wala namang treasury at the beginning of the year. So we have 60,000 issued and outstanding minus 5,000, so we only have 55,000 outstanding. Pero na-reissue or na-resell na to ang 3,000, so plus 3 na naman, and that would be 58,000 shares outstanding. 60,000 shares issued but only 58 outstanding. The 2,000 is in the treasury. So that would be 58,000 shares times pila ba daw to ang per share? 20 pesos. So that's 20 pesos, and that is 1.16 million dividends. Okay. Now, let us have July 1. Okay, napadi ay July 1. July 5. June 1 nag-declare. July 1 is the date of record, and then June 1 is the date of payment. Okay, so I believe we are going to prepare another entry for July 5 para sa date of payment. So ato itong butang diri, insert nato. That was July 5, 2018. And we are going to eliminate the cash dividends payable. Okay. Cash dividends payable on the absolute amount, kung pila itong pagka-record, wala namang fair market value ang cash, di ba? Kung pila yun ang cash, mo na at face amount ang cash. And that is again 1160. So nabayaran na din. Now let's proceed to the next. On November 1, Valdez declared a 2-for-1 split and changed the par value from 100 to 50. On November 20, shares were issued for the share split. So in this item, sabi pa, the Valdez Corporation may ginawa siyang split. From the term itself, split. So kung nakay tubo, imo nang split, ang mahitabuan na managhan. Okay? So kung imo nang daghanon og chop-chop, managhan gyud pod siya. Tama? So in this problem, sabi niya 2-for-1. Ibig sabihin, if you have 1 shares, it will multiply by 2. So if you are holding 10 shares, it's going to be 20. So hatagan kag bag-ong stock certificate kasi ang nasa imuhang certificate the moment nga nagpalit kag shares is just 10. Di ba nakabutang man sa imuhang stock certificate kung pila ka number of shares imong ginagunitan? So ang nakalagay lang doon is 10. So the corporation is going to issue another stock certificate para ma-update kung pila ang imuhang pila ka book shares ang imuhang gina-hold after sa share split. So sabi niya that will happen on November 20 daw. But we are going to analyze what happened on November 1. 2-for-1 split. So, pag ang nahitabo, gipalit nimo ang isa ka share for 100. Okay? Kasi yun yung par, 'di ba? Let's say 100. Karon pag split ana, duha na. Okay? Duha na ang imong shares. So ang mahitabuan ang kanang 100 nimo mo split pud na. Therefore, tinag 50 ang isa. Okay? So this theory or the concept of share split doesn't only happen on the number of shares, but it also happens on the par value. So, let's say, ang nangyari, example lang ha, ang nangyari is 5-for-1 split. So, ibig sabihin, if you have 1 share, it will multiply to 5 ang mangyayari, it will become 5 shares. If the par value is 100, it will now be divided into 5 shares. So, ibig sabihin, each share will have a par value of 20. That's 100 divided by 5. So, mag-share pud ang 5 ka shares sa 100 nga par value. So, there is a reverse relationship in this concept. Pag managhan ang shares, mugamay ang par value per share. Pansin ninyo? So, kung 2-for-1, tag 50 na lang ang isa. Pero kung 5-for-1, nanaghan og samot ang shares, nahimo ng 5, ang ihang par value maghinahinay po gamay going to 20 pesos. So that is share split. Now before I forgot, let us have another concept. It's the other way around. We call it reverse split. Although at some books or some authors are also defining it as share split. Okay, share split gihapon ilang tawag ato, but let's be specific para masabtan nato ang isa. We will call it as reverse split. From the term itself, reverse, so kung naghan ka ganina, ang reverse split, manggamay ang number of shares. So it's like this. Let's say the split is 1-for-2. Balihon na to, dili na siya 2-for-1, magiging 1-for-2. It means if you have 2 shares, kailangan nimo na i-combine para mahimo ng isa lang kabuok share. Okay? So, let's say I have 10 shares. 10 shares reversed split 1-for-2. Ibig sabihin, kailangan ako siya i-grupo by duha. At the end of the split, anong mangyayari sa shares ko? It will now become 5 na lang. From 10, naging 5. Yan ang reverse split. what will happen to the par value? The par value will increase. It's the other way around of the share split then. Kaganina nag-decrease tama from 100 to 50. In the reverse split, mudako. Ngano man, gigrupo man nimo ang duha. So ibig sabihin magiging 200 na din ang par value ng isang split. I mean ng isang share. Okay? So, kung kaganina duha ang nagtunga sa 100, karon ang duha nag-combine sa ilahang par values. And that will be 200 per share. So, balikan natin si share split na normal share split. If I have 10 shares, and then na ako'y 2 for 1 share split, it means times 2, anong mangyayari sa shares? Number of shares, magiging 20, right? Currently, I have 10 shares times 100, so that is 1,000. Okay. Tama ba? 1,100 times 10. Okay, I have 1,000 peso ordinary shares. That's 10 shares times 100, 1,000. Karon pag split, ako ang 10 shares na himong 20. But, my fair market value nag-change din. Diba duha naman ang mag-share sa isa? So, ibig sabihin, my fair market value would also go to 50. 20 shares with par value of 20. We multiply that, it will be equivalent to the same amount, 1,000 pesos. So, we noticed na even if nag-share split, ang total DI is just the same. So, if that's 6 million, after the share split, that will remain at 6 million. Unsa lang man ang nag-change, kung pila ka shares issued and pila ang par. Okay? So, let's do the reverse. What if I have 10 shares and the company declared 1 for 2 reverse? So, ibig sabihin, I have 10 shares currently, 100 na par, magiging 5 shares with 200 na par. Okay? So, first, I have 10 shares times 100 na par. I have 1,000 total. And then, after the reverse split, I only have 5 shares. Pero, kada share, naanay 200 nga par. Multiplying it, we will again result to the same amount, 1,000. Again, the share split will not affect the total amount. That is the amount of your ordinary shares account. Unsa lang ang maapektuhan sa share split? The number of shares, pwedeng mo saka if that is the regular share split, or pwede mo naog imong number of shares if we are doing the reverse split. Unsa pang another na maapektuhan? Your par value. Pwede mo naog if you are doing the regular split, or pwede siya musaka if you are doing the reverse split. So, I hope inyo tong nakuha. And it would be better if inyo siyang isulat so that you will have ma-picture out yun nato siya kung giunsa niya pag-split. It's just division and multiplication, okay? As simple as that. So, ma'am, are we going to have an entry on this? Since wala naman siyang effect sa ordinary shares account and to other equity accounts, wala tayong gagawing entry. Instead, we will just prepare a memo entry. And it will state, as a result of the 2-for-1 share split declared on November 1, 120,000 new ordinary shares, 50 peso par, were issued to replace the 60,000. If you could notice, 60,000 giilisan og 120, that's just times 2. 100 par, and then 4,000 shares are in the treasury. Ma'am, maapektuhan po ba sa share split ang mga naa sa treasury? Yes. Okay? So, maapektuhan gihapon ang naa sa treasury. So, balikan nato, we have 5,000 in the treasury at the beginning, nabawasan og 3,000, pila nilay nabilin? 2,000. And then, in our memorandum entry, we included that 4,000 shares are in the treasury. Times 2 pod nato. Okay? Next. We have December 5. 4,000 shares were issued in exchange for a second-hand equipment. The value, 400,000 cost, and then the book value is 200, but it was currently appraised to 260, and that appraised amount is what we call the fair market value. So we are going to record that at fair market value. So we received an equipment, that's an asset, at 260 in exchange of ordinary shares. Pila daw to? 4,000. 4,000 ka shares. Now, pila naman atong market, ato ang par value? Is it 100? No, kasi nag-split na tayo on November. Sumugamay. That's 50 pesos na lang. That would be 4,000 times 50, 200. And then the excess will go to our share premium ordinary. That's 60,000. And lastly, profit for 2018 was 1,073,000, and that would be income summary. And it will be credited to the pool of our profits, 1,730. Retained earnings. Okay, that's it. Next requirement, shareholders equity. So I already have here the pro forma. Let's just plot the amounts. We have ordinary shares, 50 par, 124,000. Is it 124,000 issued? And is it true that 125,000 are outstanding? Let's see. Paano naging 124,000, ma'am? Di ba naging 120 na yan dito? Kasi 60,000 sa sugod times 2, that's 120. And then, naka-issue ta og another 4 dire. So, that's 124,000 issued. But the question, pila ang outstanding? We only have 120,000 shares. 120,000 shares are outstanding. Nganong 120 lang man? Because again, we have treasury shares of 4,000, right? Okay. Next, let's have our share premium ordinary. Share premium ordinary, ay, wala pa din nato ninabot nga nog amount. That's 124 times 50. So that's 6.2, and then our share premium, we have 500 at the beginning of the year. Then let's see kung nadungagan. Wag yan, share premium treasury yan. Let's focus on ordinary. So we have here 60,000. Therefore, we have 560,000. And then, okay, wag natin i-equal. Let us consider another share premium. Share premium treasury shares. Wala tayong beginning, so our share premium treasury will be this. Ito lang, 90,000. Okay? And then, that would be our total share capital. That amount. 6.85, but we are going to compute for the whole shareholders equity. So let's continue. We have retained earnings. Retained earnings at the beginning, we have 1.8 million. And then let's see kung may nangyari ba kay retained earnings during the year. We have dividends, nag-issue, so that's minus. And then we also have this, nag-add for the profit. Therefore, our retained earnings at the end of the year is 2.73,000. I will explain this later. So, our total is 9.22, but don't forget the contra equity account, which is treasury shares. So, we still have 4,000 shares, tama? Times, tagpila man ang cost. Tanawon nato dinhi, di ba gibaligya man, gipalit nato siya 110 per share. Pero nag-times 2 man. Therefore, nag-divide 2 pod ning cost. That is 55. 55. Therefore, our treasury shares is 220,000. Again, nag-times 2. Therefore, divide 2 ang atoang cost. Murag hapon siya share split. Or kung gusto gyud nimo nga ma-sure, atong gamito ng original. 2,000 to siya. ka-shares times 110 ang isa, it's just the same. But because of the split, naging 4,000 siya and the cost is 55 na lang. So that's negative 220. And then our shareholders equity, the end of the year is 9 million. Now, unsa ning 220 restricted for treasury shares? I mentioned this kanina na kung mopalita og treasury shares sa tuang shareholders, we should make sure nga naatay enough retained earnings. And kanang amount equal to our treasury shares dapat ato nang iset aside. Kay sooner or later, kintahay og magka-loss si treasury share, remember kung mamaligya ta below cost, na siya'y loss, pwede niya nga ma-absorb. So 220 is restricted. Restricted from what? From dividends and from other issuances. So di ni siya pwede hilabtan for plant expansion, dili ni pwede hilabtan pang dividends and things like that. Because again, naapatay treasury. What if ma'am nabaligya na, then tanggalo na to ang restriction. Therefore, pwede na siya i-declare as dividends. Okay? So that is problem number 25. And we are going to talk about the last problem on our last video. So I hope you learned something.